To the 4:30 class back in the day, and she has for a long time now. I get like daily wonderful poems, and she sent me one today that was kind of like a reminder poem, and I think I'd read it at some point before. You know how your brain will go like, I think like something after you read it goes like, yeah, I've heard this before, and for me it was like this reminder about why I practice and why even just being in the space of practice works. So the poem is, it only takes a reminder to breathe, a moment to be still, and just like that, something in me settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I forget, catching myself charging forward without even knowing where I'm going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe and be, and walk slowly into the mystery. Dana Falls is the poet. So anyway, I was like, yeah. Because even for me, that when I get to be in front of you guys and, quote, teaching the class, there's something, that sort of presence and that reminder is always there. And so there's something kind of required, and you just show up and you need to check in. You can learn all the stuff, you can study all the philosophy and everything that goes into this. But there's still, for me, the necessity to check in, to kind of be in that space, to go, oh yeah, I still don't know it all, and I still forget. So anyway, take a nice tall seat, close your eyes, and we'll sing. So 3 ohms in one round of the invocation. Take a deep breath. Prapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. And then to your heart, you can bow and release your hands and open your eyes. And then start on hands and knees, all fours. You can come down, Sarah, yeah. Spreading your fingers wide apart. Thanks. You just move around through your wrists, through your shoulders. Just consciously, very mindfully lining everything up. Especially when you do something routine, it takes, a little like discipline to remind yourself to pay attention, to check in. Just, work through all the wrist positions, turning the hands out, turning the arms in, whatever feels like it needs a little warm up. And then even back of the hands down, pressing the fingernails down solidly. Good. And then you can give your hands a shake out, downward facing dog when ready. And as you check in with your body, also address your breath so that you hear the sound of your breathing. You make adjustments just like you do with your body to the way that you breathe. And the way the breath can support so much of the openings and the focus that happens in yoga. Take the heels over to the right side, little side stretch there. And then over to the left, heels up and over the other way. And then back to center, all the way to the front of your mat for a forward fold. See if you can hold steady in your legs, but take a bunch of breaths. Really let the breath help open you up, help release you down there even a little more. And it often takes a few seconds, a few rounds, before you can surrender more of the weight of your spine, where you can let tension out of head and shoulders and all kinds of places. And then bring the hands to your hips, push your hips back, lift your chest, rise all the way up. And then from there, take the arms up over your head, rooting down through your legs as you lift and open. Grab the right wrist, head into that little side stretch. And as you move your hips a little to the right, anchor down through the outer edge of your right hip to the floor, and lift up tall through the whole rib cage. Good. And then as you inhale, come back up and switch. Grab the left arm. So other way. Hips to the left. Left leg and hip root down. Making sure that, especially as the air goes out, that you're not slouching or kind of losing the fullness in the body. You stay long, but it's just a little bit of a softening. And then back up tall. Big breath in, exhale, fold forward, and touch the floor. And then from there, step your right leg back into a lunge. Press your feet down, come on up. Wait for your breath. Take a couple breaths here. Back leg strong, front foot heavy, then lift the arms up tall. And it's like, the reminder that you give yourself to keep checking in. Can you turn up the intensity of the back leg, the strength and lift? Can you relax more into your front hip and leg? And then from there, fully stretch down through the legs, up through the arms. You can look up. And then all the way back, downward facing dog. Touch the floor and step back. Pressing your fingertips down, move to the top of a push-up, plank pose. Lower as you exhale. point your toes and slide forward as you come up into that little back bend. Keep your legs steady, your hips steady, so not your hips wiggling, but you can wiggle a little through the spine, through the upper body. And then back to downward dog when you're ready. Inhale and lift right leg up to the sky. Big step forward into a lunge. Push your feet down, come on up. A couple breaths to feel this strong, really like you're pressing off the ball of your back foot to create that lift, heavy through your front foot. And then the arms go up when you're ready to. And notice, these first couple poses, take the arms up, does it change anything? Do you lose any of the foundation? Does the pose wobble? And can you maybe back off and slow down so you can find all your parts, all of the things you know about making this lunge as full as possible. Give it one more breath to ground your feet, to elongate the arms, and then back downward facing dog again. Good. On the inhale, top of a push-up, plank pose. Exhale and lower. Point your toes, lift your chest, cobra pose. Nice. And then downward facing dog. Take your left leg up to the sky. Reach back and stretch. And then another lunge. Step the left foot up. Find your balance. Arms to the sky when you're ready. Open up your fingers so the hands are active and they stretch. So just as much as the palm and the back of your hand, try to make that stretch really even. So it's like a quality that you're putting into the hands, and it'll even affect how your shoulders participate in this pose. Good. Bring the hands to the floor. Switch the legs. You can jump, you can step, however you want to switch them. And then rise on up. Second side lunge. Yeah. It's always that, that quality of if you can do things with a little more ease, even if it's like a perceived ease, it generally feels better. And if your breath can continue to flow, continue to move smoothly, also, again, it's a good sign. Good. Bring the hands to the floor, step to the front of your mat. Exhale and bow. Take the right arm up to the sky and twist. Let the legs bend at first. Make your spine long. So try to take your head and your chest more forward as you stack the shoulders. Then you can try to send your legs back, hips back. Good. Switch. Bring the right hand down and the left arm up. So shoulders back, head back, chest nice and open. And then the hips press back as you go a little straighter. Good. Bring the hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. And then on the inhale, plank pose, and through that vinyasa, nice and smooth. Lift the right leg up to the sky. So bend the knee this time and open it up to the twist. Pressing the standing thigh further back, even maybe getting your bottom foot heavier to the ground. And then all the way forward, come into the lunge. Come on up. So the hands, they can stay over your head, they can come down by your side, or even move to the top thigh. Shift forward and step up onto your front leg. Again, you can push against the standing thigh as you tip down into it, or any of the other variations with the arms work great. And start so that you feel the action in your lifted foot. So you make the toes active, you make the leg muscles engage. So it's assessing and checking in with all the parts. Good. Go back down to that lunge. Open it up, warrior two. Your back heel to the floor. And with strength in your legs, press down through each leg, trying to sit a little deeper, a little lower into that front leg. And then from there, lean back, take the right arm up to the sky. Kind of go to where you feel a little resistance, or if it gets stuck, and then breathe there and hold there, pushing down through the legs even heavier. It's not always just so much effort to reach up. If you back out of the way, the body will start to open, especially when you give it some time. Come back to warrior. Come down to a side angle pose, either the elbow to the knee or the hand down to the floor. And you have options. The top arm can reach up to the ceiling or over your head, turning the palm down. Again, just think about your hands and the way you stretch the top arm. So, ideally the elbow will straighten out, but not in a rigid, hardening sort of way. So you can do that even if your elbow stays a little bent. You just give this sense of balance, this way that you can make an offering with the way you hold your body here. Good. Take another breath. And then bring both hands down inside your front foot. You're going to lift your back heel and take the knee down to the mat. And then from there, walk the hands out towards the diagonal of your mat. You can have your palms down, but if you come up on fingertips, it makes you, hold on to the legs a little bit differently. Push down and out. You're stretching your pelvis to the floor. Pull and take your chest forward towards your fingertips. You can keep walking the hands out there. And there's a slight twist in the way you do this. The chest is turning from the right to the left, little by little. Again, the legs push down and apart. The arms can help you to lengthen the spine. Good. All right, hands back to the front of your mat, all the way back, downward facing dog. And have at it. If you want to move through the vinyasa, go for it. Otherwise, you can rest. Nice. Yeah. Shoulders back on the back bend. Yeah. And shoulders root down when you get back to downward facing dog. Take your left leg to the sky. Bend the knee, twist open. So the right arm drives a little heavier. The right hand, keep it strong. And then bring your left foot forward, lunge. Take your time to get in there. So again, the arms could be up over your head. They can be out by your side or on the top of the thigh. You're going to lean forward, shift into the front leg, and step up. Keep the hips sliding back so you can work more into the standing hamstring, heavier into the heel as you turn on your back leg, that lifted leg. Roll the toes in and down so you do your best to square through the hips. So it's like, feeling all the parts from the toes all the way back into your center line. You're active. And then bend the front leg, go back down to a lunge, and turn that open, warrior two. Yeah, you might find you need to widen your stance, make little adjustments. Yeah, the back foot, the toes should point straight over here to the side. The other foot's perpendicular to it. Keep rooting down through your legs as you lean back. Take the left arm to the sky. And instead of as much as you can move, make it as full as you can keep both of the sides of your body, especially your backside, the right side of your waist there. On the inhale, come back to warrior. Come down to your side angle pose, so either elbow down or the hand can slide deeper down to the floor. Going slow has that benefit of it. You'll notice if you push too fast, too quickly. Make it about the breathing, not because the breath will help you to gauge if you're overdoing it. And especially when you feel sensation, it's amazing. If you try to hold your breath, doesn't want to release. But if you keep the breathing moving, it's the body opens up. And even breathing through your nose, it helps to better oxygenate soft tissue. It helps what we're after. All right, take the hands back to the floor. So you're going to go inside your front foot, take your back knee down to the mat. And as you lunge down into this, walk both of your hands out in a diagonal. That diagonal corner. And again, being up on fingertips, for me, it just kind of makes it a little more automatic to keep the spine level, to keep the right side and the left side of the torso as long as possible. Use some strength to push down and stretch through the legs. Use the hands to pull and reach your chest more forward. And it's patience to breathe, to kind of be there, to let it happen. Good job. All right, hands to the front of your mat, step it back, downward facing dog. The option of the vinyasa, or just hold in your down dog. And then bend your knees, walk or jump to the front of your mat. Exhale and bow. Ground your feet, lift your chest, rise all the way up to stand. Take a nice tall stretch at the top. And then bring your arms down. So from here, stand on your right leg, tree pose. Take your left foot. If you can get it up high, you can do it there, you can do it low too. And so the bent leg's going to squeeze into the straight leg, but they really both feel like you're trying to push both legs to the center, and you might even feel the way the transverse abdominal muscles kind of want to engage as well. So everything's hugging back to the spine. And the legs are just a reminder of that. So they do their part, but you got to do it everywhere. So as the waistline hugs to the core, the chest and the whole thing lifts up a little taller. So you can try to hold here, you can try to look up, but think very much about the muscular action makes the more tricky ones happen, especially if you try closing your eyes. Ooh, that's tricky today. All right, release the leg, switch sides. because we use our eyes a lot. So we work the right leg in tree pose. One of those things they'll tell you, like kind of the way I was taught this initially, was you pick a spot on the floor, you softly watch that, and then your eyes are helping you to manage your balance. But if you can pay attention to the way your body is holding itself, the actions you're doing, that's how closing the eyes is doable. I could never close my eyes without having to figure out what else I'm doing here. So you hug to the center, you stand tall. Also make sure your hips and butt are back, so if you're in your heel, balance is better. And then you can play around with this. Maybe you look up. The closing of the eyes is tricky still. Good. All right, release the leg. So stand back on your right foot, bend your left knee, and grab the foot behind you. So hug your knees together so the thigh bones are staying parallel to each other. You can pull up on your hand there as you stretch down through the knee. So you're going to keep that alignment. The knees hug in. Take your right arm forward. And you can start to bow a little bit. Drive it through your back leg. So kick your back foot into your hands. You can bow forward a little bit. And then hug back to the midline. Use the knee to hug in. Use your inner thighs to hug you back to center line. And it's the same thing here. You use your eyes to balance, but if you get good at knowing how to hold this, you can close your eyes. Or you could even kind of lessen the necessity for your eyes. All right, back up to stand. Switch the legs. It's real, that common tendency is people let this knee splay out, let the thigh externally rotate. So hug it in. You're trying to keep your hips squared forward. Hold your right foot. Take your left arm up. The pubic bone reaches down and back as that lifted foot rises up to the sky. To go deep, it's quad strength. You really got to push through your back leg quite a bit. Hug those knees back to the midline. Keep trying to square things. Good. And then back up to stand. Shake the legs out. Tadasana. Inhale, arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale and fold, Uttanasana. Step both of your feet back, downward dog. Take your right hand back for your left leg. So you're going to twist. Keep the left armpit lifted as you try to look under. You can really turn your chest to look to that left side of the room. Legs strong, arms strong. Good. Bring the right hand down and then transition to switch. Left hand back for your right leg. Keep the shoulder lifted as you try to turn the chest all the way through. Yeah, that right shoulder pushes down. Good, guys. Nice. And then back to center. Good. Bring the knees down to the mat. Take your right arm, so you're on hands and knees, your right arm under, and you're going to do it with the twist down onto the side. So pause to the shoulder that's on the floor, nice and heavy, the knees heavy, especially your left knee. And then breathe as you open it up and twist, keeping the belly button pulled back towards the spine. Yeah. And try to breathe, like deep, especially because when you twist, the lungs are all shrunken down and you don't have as much room to breathe, but that breath can help calm the system down and open you up. Good. Work back to center. And then the second side, take the left arm under, through to the right. Good. Down on the shoulder and the side of the head. So each breath, can you make the whole rib cage get a little wider? Side to side and the back side. So like as you breathe, you can feel the way the ribs inflate and fill up. Where you can be heavier, where you can settle, do more of that. That's always going to help and feel nice. Good. And then back to hands and knees, all fours. So come down onto your elbows, onto your forearms. Hands can be together touching, or the hands can be down on the mat if they are nice and steady there. Grip with your fingertips if your hands are down. If your hands are touching, press down with your wrists. And then from there, the neck stays relaxed all throughout this. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees up, come into a dolphin pose or a forearm plank. See if you can lift your seat up towards the sky and then drive in this with your arms. As you inhale, rock forward. Try to take your nose out over your thumbs, towards your thumbs, but continue to push the ground away as you do that. And then lift and go back. So as far away from the floor as you can get. Keep pushing the mat away. Do several of those. Shift forward, push the ground away, versus you're not trying to drop your chest down, and then press back. And do a couple. And the idea is as we move through the shoulder joint, you're keeping that protraction. You're keeping the shoulder blades wide apart. The shoulder blade really scooped onto the back of the rib cage. Yeah, rest whenever you need to. You can come on down. A good way to check this if you're not sure or if it's just too hard is just keep your knees down and do a little protract, retract. So you push down. That's protraction. Check that the neck is not tensed up. Versus you don't want to be in this kind of soft shoulder blades all over the place. You want to be active and strong as we move around through this. So you can do another round of that. It can be in dolphin like we just did. It can also be in plank pose. In plank pose, when I do it in plank and you go forward and back, imagine if you had like a stack of yoga blocks right under your chest and chin. And so as you slide forward and back, you got to not bump into those yoga blocks. Meaning you don't dip down at all. So it's here. Push the ground away. Push off my tippy toes. Go out over my fingers. Slide back. And use your arms and your legs to do this. It's kind of, there's both are helping you. And max out that protraction, that press down, making sure it's not creeping into the back of those neck muscles. Push down even more, Sarah. Yeah. Really good, Joy. It looks awesome. All right, come down and rest. You can slide back, child's pose. Good. And then come up to hands and knees, all fours again. Step your right foot into the lunge. And then come up. You're going to try to catch with your left hand your back foot. So lean forward. See if you can get your back foot. You can be down on your elbow like I'm doing. You can be down, hands on the floor. So see if you can close up that space between your foot and your hip, and then take the whole thing and lunge forward. As you lunge forward, it'll happen on your back leg. If you bring your back foot with you, you should be on the low part of the thigh, not on the kneecap. If you can stay there, lift your chest a little taller. If you need both hands, you can grab with both hands. And then it's like wait for the breath. Can you hold there? Can you send the signal to your body to loosen, to open? Good. All right, switch back. You can just go hands and knees. Switch, so the left foot's in front. You may still need cushioning for sure on your knee, but it should not be like painful on the kneecap. But I get it, especially on, concrete floors too. It's not comfortable. And if you're sore in the quads at all, that also can contribute to this hurting. So again, one hand, or you could do both hands. Bring the foot in, and then lunge forward. Try to press your hips down. If you can rise up a little taller, and as calm as you can be as you stay there. Take some time. Quads tend to be really tight. Hip flexors can be tight. It's like you got to spend a few breaths. Good. And then all the way back, downward facing dog. If you want the vinyasa, you can do that. Nice. Walk to the front of your mat. Fold here. Bend your knees, squat all the way down. If this is a lot, just stay here and work the squat. If you can stay down and do a little more, work your right arm in front of your knee, your left arm up to the sky. You can bind if you want that too. And then switch. Left arm in front of the left knee. Right arm up to the sky. Good. Back to center for the arm balance. Crow pose. Hook your arms in front of your knees. So place the hands. If you pull the arms back and set the hands down, it should give you a good starting point. Then you're going to lift and take it all forward. Once you get your elbows over your fingers, your feet start to get light. And then you just got to hold that. Push the knees down. Reach the chest forward. You can stay there. You can pull one leg, both legs up. Keep trying to take the chest forward if you're going to get the arms a little straighter. Yeah. Keep rooting down through the arms. Good job. Yeah. get to lay on your back when you're done. So once you're finished, lay on down. A couple windshield wipers, you can just loosen things up, go a little, taking the knees side to side. And then for bridge pose, bend your knees, place your feet by your hips, press the head and the shoulders down, and then hips up. Again, you guys know the drill. It's the mid-back. So if you can get your chest high enough where your hands are, you might be able to stick your thumbs kind of somewhere on the back of the bottom ribs. Try to be not by your hips as much, but closer to your ribs. I know it may not totally work, but then from there, if you can do that, you can use your thumbs to pull down your back to help extend, especially through that joint, the vertebra right at the bottom of the rib of the ribs, yeah. T12, L1. That space, that tends to get pretty jammed and stuck. So you can feel your bottom ribs. That's T12 on the back side, those floating ribs. Yeah, come down whenever you need to and rest. Couple side-to-side movements. Even if you can't dig your thumbs in there, you can still use that as kind of an idea of where you're trying to get the movements. So then if you want to go all the way up and do wheel pose, you can go for that on this round. Same awareness in that mid-spine. That's the extension that we want to develop more of. Take your time to go up when ready. For those of you just going the top of the head is great. You go top of the head, you try to take your hands wide. You want your hands back and wide so you can't really see your hands when you go up. That'll give you a good spot. And then using your legs to rock up high. Good. So finish up the back bend you're working on. Widen your feet even further apart and take the knees over to the right. So both knees point right, right foot on top of your left knee. You can move, you can play around with if you wiggled your left foot so you move the left leg a little right or a little left, finding the optimal place for you. It may not be, the best place may not be where you feel the most sensation also. Nice and long. Good. And then bring the knees back up, take the knees the other way over to the left. left foot on top of right if you're using it. And again, you can, playing around with the position if you want to work the right leg and left leg. It's also because I can't adjust, so you got to figure it out. Good. All right, come back up to center. So still laying on your back, take your right knee and thread it on top of your left knee. So you want to get your knees like as tight together as you can, your inner thighs touching. And then you're going to kind of sit up and grab your ankles. Spread your toes, flex your feet, and then you start to pull your ankles and your feet towards you. As you do that, press the legs away from you, push the knees away from you. You see if you can get your head back down to the mat. So again, the arms pull the legs, the feet and ankles towards you. The knees try to push away from you so that eventually the hips and butt are back down on the floor and the shins make a straight line. You gotta really push with your knees, yeah. Good, all right, switch left leg on top. Left knee over right knee. Again, so grab your ankles. So you pull back. So shins make that straight line. Knees, especially your top knee, but it's both, press away. As if you're moving your inner thighs towards the front of your mat. It's great. And then let the legs go, roll to your side to sit up. Okay, I'll give you two. There's like an easier way to do this and a harder way to do this. Easier is you're just going to plop down like that. So I'll make it. So if you turn your feet this way, you drop so you're kind of sitting off on the side of your hip. Harder would be your right leg in Virasana. So with your heel like scooched up against you and this leg bent. If you can do that, there's another version of it like this, or the very yoga-y way is this leg in half lotus. Be careful if you're putting your leg in half lotus. So you hook the ankle over the top, and you spin your knee down to the floor like that. Sure, it can be here. Probably you guys are fine with either this or the full half lotus thing. So then, this is a really nice twist, so I should probably do it the same way you guys are doing it. People at home, mirror me. So you're leaning into the twist. That's why this one feels kind of nice. So you're going to twist to the right. And the right hip, it's easy to make your right hip heavy. Sarah, twist the other way. So then elongate. Use the hand on the ground behind you to sit up tall as you rotate through. If you're in this half lotus, you can try to reach behind you and grab your ankle. Good. And then inhale and untwist. And then switch the legs. It's the only twist that actually leans you into the twist. All the other twists are like they're tipping you away. So there's something kind of nice about how this pose takes you over there. So what I'm doing, like in the lotus, if you get into lotus and you're stuck here, It's kind of an easy fix. You might be okay if you lift your butt up, spin your knee down, and then sit back down. To the left. Good, and then inhale to unwind back to center. Slide your feet out of there. Bring the soles of your feet together. And you can take your inner thighs and pull them back. So either holding the ankles, sitting up tall, push using your hands on the floor to sit up tall. Rock forward onto your hips, use your legs to pull the knees down. And then as long as you can keep the knees from popping up, go ahead and try to bow forward, taking your chest or your heart out over your toes. It's not like you're trying to crunch into a ball in this version. You're trying to hinge more at the hip joint. Ankles lift up, knees draw down. Good. And then come back up tall to sit. So from here, so keep your right leg there and you're just going to slide it across your body so the knee's on the floor. And then the left leg is going to wiggle its way over. It's kind of like the pose we did on our backs several poses ago. If you get stuck too, the idea is to get the knees to stack on top of each other. It's hard. If you get stuck, lift your butt up. Try to slide your butt back and re-sit down. Taking your hips a little to the right will help. Good. And then from there, you might find that you just need to stay there and sit, taking the top knee and try to plug it back into your hip. If that's enough sensation, just hang out there. You can try to fold forward as an option too. Feel free to use your hands any way you need to. Your left hip is the hip that's kind of getting the business here. So you might put your hands on the thigh and just gently invite a little weight. And breathe. Keep the breath moving through your nose and feel the breath in the spots that are giving you challenge, that are giving the sensation. And then come back up tall, whatever version you're in, you're going to twist to the left. You can use the arm to push down against the thigh. And then back to center, switch that cross. Like this, left leg under, knee to the floor, and then right foot steps over the top. Again, if you come up a little bit, it's definitely easier with your butt off the ground because you don't have the ground in your way. Hips go a little more to the left also is helpful. And then just see if you can Make yourself comfortable here. You can trick yourself into being a little more comfortable. Again, that helpful anchoring the thigh bone, because we really are trying to get the thigh bone to seat into the hip socket more deeper. That's going to make the hips open if it can happen. So you can bow forward, you can stay up tall, you can take your right hand and give a little added weight to the top of the thigh. And then sit back up tall. And there you're going to turn to the right. Maybe you cross the arm. And the breath doesn't need to be dramatic. It really works better if it's not. I know like yoga will teach different things. There's like a fantastic book called The Oxygen Advantage. Patrick McEwen, he's either Irish or Scottish. He's Irish. And it's like all about, it's just really interesting research about kind of nasal breathing. And it really is like gentle nasal breathing is what they're showing that oxygenates soft tissue best. Cool. It's really interesting stuff. It's gotten me thinking about breathing kind of differently. You know, yoga all those years ago introduced this to me, but there's a lot there. Come back to center. I'm actually re-listening to the book the second time because I have it on like the audio book. I've been driving around a bunch. So of course I'm going to whine about it for a while. Lay on your back. Bring your knees into your chest, give your legs a hug. You can rock side to side, little circles, whatever feels good. You know, move the legs so the hips can move around a little bit so you feel relaxed, you feel ready to rest. And then from there, just a happy baby pose. Reach up, grab your feet. The knees can be wider, narrower. You can change that. You can even rock a little bit here. And then stretch out to Shavasana. Taking that nice long position. If seated meditation, if you prefer sitting up, go for it. But get yourself comfortable. So shoulders underneath your back. So the head, the shoulders are all heavy on the ground. The legs are heavy. Make your eyelids soft as you surrender more and more of your weight down. Begin to deepen your breath. To move your toes, to wiggle your fingers, to gradually bring bigger and bigger stretches. When you're ready, bend your knees, roll to your right side. And use your hands to slowly come all the way up, back to sitting. And to the after effects of practice, to that moment that you give yourself to check in, to acknowledge yourself, to remember, like why it is you practice, all those reasons that moving your body, breathing, by being present can have so many beneficial effects. And we always need that reminder. It's like it's natural for us to forget, to need those spaces where we can find our core, find our heart, find our most centered self. Thank yourself for being here as you fold your hands together right in front of your heart into a lifted, bright heart A deep breath in, and a grateful bow. Namaste. Thank you.